trying to record too much because then I just want to record over YouTube beats because I
Right.
hear a YouTube beat and I'm like, oh yeah, that's
Right.
it. I don't even gotta make it. I'll just
Right.
take this thing.
What was it that sort of sparked you wanting to produce more of your own music? Was it anything specifically where you decided like, hey, I'm gonna try to delve more into producing my own beats as opposed to getting beats from somebody else?
Well, I started out when I started making music. I started out with like, yeah, obviously YouTube beats. You know what I mean? And I was really good at that. Like, I think that was one of the things that all the homies noticed is that like I could find a beat that would just like it would be the beat. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the one. You know, every time I have the ear for that. And then I dropped a project and I had a bunch of leases. You know, and I really didn't get much off that project. Like, I think the biggest check I got off of that project was probably like $20.
Right.
So I just thought to myself, like, maybe I could earn a little bit more by making and producing my own beats. And I'd also have the creative control that I want, which is basically like I want to be able to control every little aspect of that sound so that I can really give you an experience musically, because that's what I'm about. I'm about being an artist more than I am about being a rapper. You know what I mean? Like, I am a lyricist. I'm great at that. I know I can do that. I've been writing since I was 8 years old. But I'm not the master at producing the sound and making you feel the music. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I think that's what it is, bro. When you hear a good song, like a song that takes you back to maybe your childhood and it kind of tears you up, you know what I'm saying? That's what I want. I want that from you. Every time you listen to my music, I want you to feel like, damn, bro, just hit me in the heart. Like, you know?
That's what's up.
So I think what inspired that was really just wanting to, be able to have the creative control to be able to give that feeling to people, and then also, you know what I'm saying, making a little more of the revenue that I deserve for the music that I'm creating. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm putting all this time and effort into it. Why not take the extra step and, you know, get every little dividend I can to try to support my family? Because that's what this is all about anyways. It's not about being rich. It's not about having $1 million house and the Range Rovers and the SRTs and the Benz. I don't give a fuck about none of that. Right. I don't care. I really just want a nice ass house that I own with a piece of land for my kids to build on if they want to, and a couple of businesses and some, you know, some investments. That's just keeping the revenue coming, keeping the generational wealth flowing. You know what I'm saying? I don't want nothing other than that. So at the end of the day, the thing that moved me the most to do that was just being able to have the creative control to touch people. You know what I mean? And being able to, you know what I'm saying, really solidify myself as an artist, somebody that's a legend, not more or less, you know, just like somebody that make music. You know what I'm saying? Because if you notice, bro, all the legends, they produce most of their music. The ones that are really doing it right now, I mean, with Russ, you got L.A. Russell or La Russell, however he, you know what I'm saying, that a lot of people pronounce it different. I think it's La Russell.
I'm not sure. I ain't gonna stand. I don't know which way. Sometimes I read it, I say one. Sometimes I read it, I say the other. But,
you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I just feel like that's something you got to do. You know what I'm saying? If you really want to be generating the revenue and you want to invest in yourself, you want to make that next move, you got to be able to produce your own music or have a producer in your circle, which is hard as hell to have because no producer wants to produce for you and never get paid. Right. Like, let's just be honest, you know what I mean? So that's one way, I guess, that just kind of like put me in that position, man, where I was just like, man, I'm good. I got to make these beats. I got to. I have to. And if I don't, like, you know what I'm saying, I'm never going to make the music that I want to make. Right. You know? So.
And that makes sense. I think that's a real pragmatic way of looking at it. You know, all the different things that you sort of spoke on are like real down to earth, tangible ways of looking at music. I think a lot of times people sort of look at music as a pipe dream or look at music as trying to be the biggest rapper, the biggest artist in the world, as opposed to looking at it as, you know, a career, you know, and looking at it in a with a long-term plan and with, you know, different goals that you want to hit at different points in time. And with a lot of times with music, people sort of view it like almost like being in like the NBA or being in the NFL, where like if you haven't got to the league by the time you 22 or you 23, then like it's a lost cause. You done. You know, when really I think music should be looked at a lot more similar to lawyers. You know, where you know it takes a certain amount of time to go through college and get a law degree, then find a law firm that you're working at, and then get experience within, you know, going to court and with the legal system. And you know, you don't really necessarily want the lawyer that's like 24 and 25 and maybe is like a hot shot or a prodigy. You know, you want the lawyer that's maybe about 43, 44, then seen a little bit, you know, like you know, he got you, you know, he can sort of, you know, guide you through these different things. And to me, like, that's one of the things that's really important about music is that, especially too with building like a culture in a city, with building like a community around music, with building a music scene, is you need people who are okay with not being the 24-year-old, 25-year-old phenomenon, or a 25-year-old, 24-year-old number one superstar, and okay with being the 40-year-old OG, you know, the 40-year-old mentor, the 35-year-old mentor. And, you know, you get enough of those who can like guide you on, you know, booking events, who can guide you on producing, who can guide you, who got studios, who got engineering experience, who got song making experience, collaborating experience, and you get a web of those, and eventually they can help the person that's 24, 25, you know, become their prodigy. You know, and like, it's really a really cyclical thing. You know, it's an ecosystem. And a lot of times people don't view music and view hip hop and view like the culture as an ecosystem. I think a lot of that happens too because we haven't had some of that here in Rockford. Whereas you go to like a place like Detroit, or you go to a place like, you know, Chicago, you know, because they've had 100 years of people building ecosystems out before, you know, rap or hip hop was even thought of, you know. And so it takes a time to sort of build and get to some of those places.
No, definitely.
And so